It took me a while to finally see it, but it also took Mammootty quite a while to finally show up.
Mr. Sethu, you are deputed for the inquiry of the ominous case.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Sethu,
Servus Freunde, my name is Jimmy Cage. I have reviewed more than 350 Indian movies on this channel, and in light of the upcoming release of CBI 5 The Brain, I finally watched the first entry in this decade-spanning beloved Malayalam detective series. We actually wanted to check out the series for a long time, but it's really quite difficult to find these films in decent quality with English subtitles. The answer was Hotstar with a VPN set to India. The image quality as well as the buffering were pretty rough at times, but at least I was finally able to watch ORU CBI Diary Kurippu. It was the first time that Mammootty played the role of Central Bureau of Investigation Officer Setturama Iyer. All 5 films were directed by K. Madhu and written by S.N. Swami. The first one came out in 1988 and at the time it became the highest grossing Malayalam film. I wasn't really sure what to expect from it, and it was certainly an interesting experience. So far, I have seen both Feluda films by Satyajit Ray and of course several modern Indian investigative thrillers. So I had a general idea what the movie might be like, and for the most part I wasn't so far off. Overall, I had a pretty good time with it, but I also think that I enjoyed it more from a perspective of curiosity and film history. To see how a big beloved box office hit of that time from Malayalam cinema looks and feels like. Just a few years ago I had no idea that Malayalam cinema even existed, and now I'm delving into these classics that were of course only made with the Malayalam, or maybe a bit broader with a South Indian audience in mind. A mystery thriller like this is quite different from the mystery thrillers that I grew up with, which were mostly from Hollywood. My cultural background and my idea of what makes a film really great can be very different, which makes it hard sometimes to fully enjoy a film. But that's why I mean that it's also a pretty fascinating experience to watch something like this under the lens of film history. But let's get into more details. The story revolves around the death of a young woman, Omana, the daughter-in-law of a local businessman. The question is, was it suicide or was it murder? Well, because this is a mystery thriller and you can also call it a whodunit, it's very likely the latter. What I liked from the get-go was this kick-ass theme music that was composed by Shyam and that apparently is featured in different variations in all CBI movies. The film certainly has a strong B-movie and at times even exploitation vibe to it. And I, for example, loved how it laid out all the facts about this particular situation, how the possible culprits were shown one after the other. ORU CBI Diary Kurippu is a police procedural, and in that it's actually quite grounded. How we go through the different stages of the police work and so on. But there's always this commercial or joyful, thrilling touch to it. I mean, at least for the time, because it's a fairly slow-paced movie after all. It also goes through some changes, in terms of the tone, but also in terms on which characters it focuses on. It's not that unusual for Indian movies to delay the entrance of the actual hero and movie star quite a bit. I still remember how baffled Dennis and I were when we watched the Malayalam classic Manichitratal, and how it took forever before Mohanlal actually showed up. It's similar in this one. It takes more than 45 minutes before Mammootty enters the picture. As usual, the movie takes its time to establish the world and its characters. At times, it's more like a drama, centering on the father and sister of the dead woman and how they are trying to get justice. It's a long build-up for Setturama Iyer taking over the case, but it's certainly awesome to then see and feel his confidence, no-shit attitude and also a little swagger. As expected, Mammootty immediately radiates this charisma and warmth, and it's nice to see him get familiar with everything he needs to know. And he's also not alone, but has the help of his 2 partners Vikram and Hari, played by Jagati Sirikumar and Suresh Gopi. There's just a certain joy to them handling this case. There's for example this pretty funny scene in which Vikram pretends to be someone else to get more information. I also really liked how they lay out their plan, setting these 3 stages of investigation. First, find out about the corruption. Then, make sure if it was a suicide or not, and then finally, if it wasn't, who was behind it. I liked that a lot. At the same time, it was a bit meandering nevertheless, since we as the audience already know a lot of the answers. We see the corruption, we obviously know that it wasn't suicide, and we also have a pretty limited field of possible perpetrators. Fortunately, there are still a few surprises left, and since the cast is pretty good and the movie brings enough joy to the material, I was still entertained. Especially Sukumaran was also pretty memorable, and I actually found it a bit sad that his part wasn't bigger. There are also a few fight scenes which honestly are quite hilarious. The choreography is so striking that they appeared almost more like dances than actual fights. But because there's this fun B-movie vibe to it, I just enjoyed it. And again, especially combined with the pretty neat background music. And while the movie is more than 2 hours, and in my mind it doesn't need to be, they didn't include any songs or romantic side plots to detract from the actual story. And while it's certainly not a very deep movie, there are still some themes touched upon. Like corruption, rich versus poor, brains over brawn, and the atrocities men are inflicting on women. But at the end of the day, it's mostly just a quite chill and fun mystery thriller drama with a very charismatic Mammootty in the lead. So in German I'd say: ORU CBI Diary Kurippu ist ein leichtfüßiger und unterhaltsamer Detektivfilm mit all den charmanten Eigenheiten, die das Malayalam Kino zu jener Zeit ausmachten, inklusive einem glänzenden Mammootty in der Hauptrolle. I give ORU CBI Diary Kurippu 7 out of 10. It's more like 6.6, but I don't do that. Alright, that's it like always. Comment below and let me know what you think about ORU CBI Diary Kurippu. And also let me know what is your ranking of the 4 CBI movies and are you looking forward to the 5th one. You can hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd and also on Patreon simply at TheJimmyCage. And if you enjoyed this episode, please give me a thumbs up, share, subscribe, whatever you like. And make sure you hit that bell for all I have to tell.